Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as you know, divorce happens and then we start fresh. And we're here today with one of our Fresh Starts experts talking about a topic that I feel like doesn't get talked enough about, but it really is the foundation of so many divorces, which is paperwork and how to organize that. So we're here with Leslie, who is a organizer, professional organizer. I'm going to have her introduce herself. So Leslie, who are you? What do you do?
Hello, my name is Leslie. I'm a professional organizer. I have owned a company called Get It Straight for over 20 years now. I started organizing when people kind of looked at me funny, like, what's that? I help people with closets and kitchens and everything from basements to garages, but paperwork has always been a real problem for people, and helping people through their divorces and organizing their paperwork is very important. And I try to help people gather and collect all their paperwork for divorces, and also just preparing for children's colleges, even things like taxes and things like that, just keeping everything organized. It is hard. It is overwhelming, but you can do it. And today's technology helps a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you helped me through my divorce paperwork. So I know that you're good at it. So there's two big things I want to talk about. One is that when you go through a divorce, there's so many elements, right? You have the mortgage that you have to deal with. You have the actual law of the legal stuff of the divorce. Then you perhaps have things like letters you have to send to people or your children's stuff. How do you separate all of those topics so that they're not all like on your desk all over the place and you cry?
Well, the first thing that I recommend is looking at your 1 month, because 1 month is going to give you a huge scope of what you have, because you're going to have all your monthly bills. And this way you can, even if you just write it down, some people like, spreadsheets, you could be a paper person or a computer person. Try to write down what your 1 month looks like, and then you can break it down from there. And what I try to tell people is try not to look at a whole year yet. Try to look at your month and break down like what the mortgage costs, what your insurance costs. You forget about all the little things, your cable bill. And when you're separating, it's about the separation first. They want to know what your overall costs are, because they want to know who's going to pay for what. And then you have to also incorporate the children and what that's going to look like. Daycare, aftercare.
Yeah.
You have to get all your monthly bills in order and what your overall cost for your month.
Right.
So try to not to be overwhelmed. Sit down either together or whoever the person is in charge, either the husband, wife, 2 wives, 2 husbands, whoever it is.
Yep.
Sit down, whoever's the financial person, try to write down 1 month. Then you can break it down from there and look at what your scope is of it. And then there are some things that are only yearly. Maybe your homeowner's insurance is only yearly.
Right.
Things like that. Then you can add those in.
Right.
And this gives you like a better understanding of what your monthly costs are. And then you can go from there. And then you can try to figure out who's going to be in charge of what, how it's going to break down, whose income's going to cover what. And it just makes it a little bit more bite-sized.
Yeah. And that's actually part of the divorce process, is the inventory that you have to take. And I remember walking around my house with a paper and pen being like, children's medicine, clothes, like food. And I love that also as you go through that to make sure you can log into all the accounts, to make sure that you have
usernames, passwords.
Right, exactly.
I recommend getting something called like a like on your phone or on your computer, something that works on your computer and your phone. I happen to use a Keeper app.
Okay.
And you could make it mutual. Like you could share it. It doesn't have to be personal. It could be for your cable, internet, your cell phone. You could share it so you both have access. And then once you divide things, you could change passwords and things like that.
Right. That's
This
true.
way, no one is feeling, especially if it's a amicable divorce.
Yeah.
No one is feeling like they're being taken advantage of. So when it's an amicable divorce, you could do this together. Everyone has access to everything. If it's not amicable, it's a little bit different. But what you hope for is like mediation, amicable. You can share usernames and passwords where both people have access. This way, no one's feeling like you have all the power. I don't know anything. It's like, here it is.
Yeah.
Both can log in.
Right.
Here's our mutual password keeper. If you look up under the apps under iPhone or Samsung or Google, you just look under password keeper.
Yep.
There's a ton of great apps, all with A+ or 4++ positive, high security that Apple or Google recommends that you can use, share those.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah.
There's just tons of different technology now. It doesn't have to be in a black and white
Scrap
notebook
of paper. Yeah.
that you used to have when you were in high school, like with your love notes in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Also, for those that don't know this yet, when you go through a divorce process, if the other party refuses to share that information or, is withholding, nobody can actually do that. So your lawyer will ask them to do a discovery or whatever it's called and reveal all that information. So if you're working with somebody who is antagonistic about it, just stay calm because you will get the information eventually.
Right. And that's just going to cost you guys more money in the long run. Every phone call, every tick with a lawyer is, I mean, some lawyers are especially in New York, $500, $600, $700 an hour.
Yeah.
Who makes that?
Yeah.
We don't.
Lawyers.
Lawyers do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're really going to pay a lawyer to give somebody the password to your LIPA account? It's like, come on.
Okay. I have a hard question for you, Leslie. The paperwork that comes in. So, okay, your lawyer is sending you this and then your mortgage lender is sending you this. And you're like, and sometimes it's real paper, right? It's not just like digital stuff. How do you organize the stuff that's coming in?
Okay. So my first recommendation is please open it. Please, please, please open it because mail is 90% not mail. It's an envelope. It's the jargon of we're not selling your information.
Yeah.
It's 7 languages of the same
paper. Yeah.
It's usually one piece.
Right.
Like I could get an EOB from my insurance company and it's just the top page and it's 11 pages.
Yeah.
So please open it.
Yeah.
It's scary. No one wants to open a tax document. No one wants to open an insurance bill.
Right.
Half of the battle is opening it.
Yeah.
Please get a recycling, get a shredder.
Yep.
It's not horrible. It's kind of fun if you have kids. You give them a basket of shredding stuff. I mean, not 5-year-olds, but 10, 12.
Yeah.
They like to shred stuff. It's noisy. Gives them something to do.
I love it.
Try the first battle with anything. Just open the mail.
Yeah.
Some people they're paralyzed by the mail.
I am. I get nervous every time I check the mailbox.
And it's 99% nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like a notice, like the rules have changed.
Right.
So open the mail, get rid of what you don't need. Don't save it for later. Just throw it out in the garbage. If you can't recycle, just don't. Just throw it in the garbage. Keep the one piece.
Yep.
Keep, I have 3 folders right here on my desk. One is active, one is inactive, and one is my yearly. And at the end of the year, I sort through it. I keep what's important. And then then I sort that and then I only keep what is important, like for what my tax accountants need.
Right.
A lot of business owners like you need your receipts. Buy a cute little box at Michael's. Throw your receipts in. Make a stack.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if you're a big corporation or you're a big company or you're doing so well, then you're going to have an office and you're going to have a staff and you're going to have QuickBooks and you're going to have.
But even like the documents, But even like not receipts, like I'm thinking like, like your like the health benefit stuff, or like sometimes they send you a letter when like your password's changed for something, like, just so you have all this stuff
Then you
saved.
scan. So my password keeper,
Yep.
you can take a picture and you can scan it right to
Oh,
where your
interesting.
user name and password is.
Oh, okay.
Scan it right here.
That's cool.
Like in my password keeper,
Uh-huh.
I have a copy. I mean, of course, I don't throw away my passport.
Yeah.
But I have a copy of my passport. My passport's
Right.
in my,
Yep.
safe place.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to keep everything.
Right.
You need to keep things that are, tax based for your
Mm-hmm.
business, but you don't need to keep everything that someone sends you just because
Right.
they sent it to you.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
take a picture of it. You can attach it to something. You can take a picture of it and put it in a folder. You could put a folder on your phone.
Yep.
Your phone's password protected. If you back up your phone, then
Yep.
it's saved. If you don't back up your phone, then that's a problem.
Right.
You have to use the iCloud. It's $2 extra more a month.
Yeah. I love
We
it.
have to utilize the things that we have.
Absolutely.
But we can't have 7 things. You can't have the paper version, the cloud.
Oh, no.
Because
it's a
now
lot.
we're getting into like panic anxiety mode, which is what they want.
Right. Right.
They want us to have it every way. Oh, there's also, I have an Epson scanner,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a little tabletop scanner that you can feed.
Okay.
Papers. You could do
That's
a stack.
cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
And that has options right on this main screen, and their tech support's fantastic. There's actually a person that answers the phone.
That's awesome.
When you press it to scan it, you can scan to the computer. You can scan to your email. So if you don't like not a person who saves things on your computer, like to folders, you can just scan it right to your email.
That's so cool.
And then if you have a good email like Gmail that has unlimited storage, you just have it in your Gmail, and then you can
that's what I
name it something that you can find.
Yep.
Wyatt, doctor report from March 26, 2025.
Yeah, I love that. I do that a lot. I have the scan app on my phone, and I like save everything. I've had since my divorce, and it's just so nice to have everything in there. And what I do, because my brain doesn't work as an organizational thing for paperwork at all, is I have literally a bucket, like a bin in my closet. And anytime something comes in that's important, I just shove it in the bin, and I'm like, okay, well, now I know where it is. And it's like, then I can go through it later. So,
that's my basket. I have a basket like that. But it's only for 1 year.
Yeah. No, yeah. Because I go through it for taxes. So it's really like for taxes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So then as we go through the divorce process, there's so many things to keep track of. What are some tips and tricks to just keep yourself not losing your mind during this with all the paperwork and things you're signing and sending and all that stuff?
Right. Well, I mean, I think one important thing is to keep it all together. They sell cute little, I hate to keep buying things, but you want something that you can bring with you to the lawyer.
Smart.
Because you sometimes have to go.
Mm-hmm.
I would buy like a little carry-all.
Okay.
One that has the file folders, the legal ones.
Smart.
Everything is legal size.
Yep.
With the lawyers. They love the legal size paper.
Yes.
And then they use the legal, paper, or they use the legal size, everything. I mean, I think it's a lot less than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot less paperwork.
Yep.
But I would try to just utilize, of course, I mean, your service is amazing, and you have so many experts that people can reach out to for starts with the help with the divorce. But I would just keep track of your paperwork that's coming in. A lot of it, unfortunately, is it's the financial side of the divorce. It's the mortgage, it's the documents, it's your
everything. Title to the house, everything,
right. And you just have to keep track of it. And sometimes it's like the last, just like when you're buying a house, it's like the last 3 months of everything. You want to see if everything was paid.
Yeah.
Was everything paid up, or are you delinquent?
Yeah.
Is they want to kind of keep track of everything. So folders, and they don't have to be, you don't have to make everything dreary. Like you don't have to buy the manila folders. They sell
beautiful
folders and, paper stores. And
I love that.
You don't have to, all my clips and stuff are colorful and
Mhm,
people make fun of me. Like I have like my folders. I'll just show you real quick. Take a little pause. Like my folders are cherries.
I love that.
Yeah, like I don't have
Matches your necklace. Yeah.
yes. Not everything has to be like
Right.
sad
Right.
and
I love that. I love that too.
it's not an easy time,
Yep.
but it doesn't also have to be like the worst, hardest time in the world. Like you could have something that keeps you kind of motivated and
Yeah.
make
I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
But it's just keeping track of everything. Throwing out what you don't need. Throw out the envelope, throw out the envelope they give you. I mean, most people pay everything online.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
And try to do things if you can afford it, try to do things on auto pay.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to affect your credit. You don't want to miss payments. When you're going through a divorce, you have a lot on your mind. You don't have to do auto pay forever.
Right.
But maybe just put things on auto pay temporarily.
Right. Right.
At least the minimums. So you're not missing credit card payments.
Right.
Put your car payment on because you could be very distracted, especially if you have small children.
Yep.
We've talked about this
Yep.
before.
Yep.
You have a lot going on. And if your partner is not the responsible financial person, you have enough money to do it, take a little burden off yourself. You don't need to write the checks. You don't need to remember the date.
Right.
Put some stuff on auto pay until you can breathe again.
Oh, I love that. I love that suggestion.
Yeah.
What I like about that suggestion and so many of the other ones you said today is it's just taking the friction out of things, which is like my whole thing, right? So it's like my biggest concern often is, can I even log in to these platforms?
Yeah.
Right? What's my password? So making sure you're up to date on a lot of this stuff, getting rid of the extraneous papers that you don't need, right? It's just making your life that much easier, which anytime you can take away a little bit of stress during a divorce, it's just going to make everything much better.
So the password keeper that I use, you can add it if you are savvy enough. You can add it to your keyboard. And when you're logging in, it automatically logs you in.
Yep.
Like you click it as a choice of your keyboard. And then when it says password, that keyboard choice comes up. It opens up your keeper.
Right.
And then you select which, like let's just say, for example, it's a Visa credit card.
Yep.
You select which Visa credit card, it automatically fills in.
Yep.
So you don't have to type it each time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
But you do have to have the correct username and password in the keeper.
Right.
So if someone changes it on you, it's no good.
Well, what I really like what you said is about the shared password thing for like I love this idea of like any shared accounts should have shared passwords. And you can, like you said, change the password to something for right now. You can always change it back later. And that way, A, the lawyers aren't mad at you. And B, like imagine the stress being like imagine having to deal with your person that you're breaking up with being like, well, what was the Chase, login? And they're yelling at you and stuff. And you're like, I don't know. I have to figure it out. I have to reset it. And then the kids are screaming. At least you could just take one day, go through all the passwords, reset them if you need to, and share them. So there's no mystery. I love that. I love that suggestion.
And even with the 2-factor authentication, you're allowed 2 ways. You can do it email and phone. So what I do is we have one person use the email and one person get the phone.
Yeah.
So even if it's 2-factor authentication, if I'm doing it, I get it via my phone.
Okay.
And if like John's doing it, he gets it via email.
Right. Okay.
So this way, even if we're both accessing it via 2-factor authentication, we both can still do it.
Got it.
Like, so someone may be like, oh, the 2-factor authentication. No, because you can have 2 ways to do 2-factor authentication.
I love that. I love that.
There's always a way to jointly look at something. So no one can say, oh, you're trying to control me. You're trying to keep me out of this.
Yeah.
The technology has made it so you don't have that fight. And you can both download the app.
Yep.
You can see things. You can both get notifications. You can even have a shared email if you want.
Yep.
Like, Sue and Bob's divorce at gmail.com. Like whatever you want.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
whatever you want.
I love that. So, and also, worst comes to worst, right? You're drowning in paperwork. You can hire an organizer, even virtually, like Leslie, to sit with you on Zoom and go through papers. So
Yeah.
I love that idea. Okay. So if somebody's listening to this podcast, Leslie, and they're going through a divorce, which they probably are because it's called Divorce Happens, or they know somebody, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave with them?
The best thing I could do is try to empathize with each other. You at one point really loved each other. And I know that you're angry with each other at this point, and maybe you've passed the anger and you've come to the point where you really are okay with each other, but try to empathize. Obviously, if you're in a dangerous situation, you don't have to empathize with the other person. We're not talking about those situations. We're talking about people maybe have drifted apart, or they fell in love with someone else, or they're changed, realize their sexual orientation is different. Try to, empathize with that person. People do change. You're not the person that you were when you met them or married them, and just try to think about the person that you fell in love with and try to get through it together, because especially if you have children together, you want to be in this person's life for as long as you can in an optimistic and peaceful way, because once you have kids, they're the priority. You're no longer the main person anymore. Your children are. So try to reach out to that person, have the conversation, meet in private, go to a separate place. Don't do it at home. Talk about your stresses, talk about your concerns. It's usually money. Money's the hard part, because now you're, supporting 2 households, 2 families, 2 cable bills, everything's double. And that's very stressful, especially in these times. So, but try to see that it's for the best and that you both will come out of it. And if you do it with the least amount of friction, like you said, and the most amount of support for each other, that you might come out of it on the other side better people.
I love that. I love that. This was great advice today. So I hope everybody listened and go download those apps, get the scanners, do all the things. Just great life advice for like anything that you're going through in life. Buying a house, changing jobs, all could apply to any of the stuff that Leslie shared today. Leslie, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.